Just to comprehend the history, it is important to understand the time and the space. Without understanding time and the space, you won't be able to comprehend the history. The beginning of the Stone Age in India from 5 lakh BC. Ancient history is still a matter of more excavation, more analysis, more debates and the discussions. Hello everyone, warm welcome to all of you. Greetings from my side. In this session, we are going to cover ancient and medieval history through the timeline. That is quite important for your preparation. Just to comprehend the history, it is important to understand the time and the space. Without understanding time and the space, you won't be able to comprehend the history. So without wasting the time, I'm going to start with the very first topic, that is called the Stone Age, right? So here, I'm going to start for you. You may start with a timeline. Just see here. This is the very first topic, that is called the Stone Age. It is spread over a wide span of the time that covers a time period from, you may say, 20 lakh to 4000 BC, 4000 BC, right? 4000 BC. In some of the books, you can see the beginning of the Stone Age in India from 5 lakh BC. Like if I talk about the old NCERT, that is authored by R.S. Sarmasa, in this book you will find the time begins, the Stone Age begins with the 5 lakh age. But in the new NCERTs, you will get the time from 20 lakh BC, right? So I would like to say you that from the beginning of the ancient history, the time is not very fixed. That is not true. That cannot be said that it is a confirmed date or the confirmed age. So you may get some of the kind of the variations, but just to understand the history, I will try to the most acknowledged, most recognized time period here. So Stone Age, it can be then divided into three broad categories. And this is your Paleolithic age, Mesolithic age, and then this is your Neolithic age. So this is Paleolithic, Mesolithic and Neolithic age. Paleolithic age. Then this is your Mesolithic age, and this is your Neolithic age. So it is primarily, this is the Stone Age. If you go by the time, then this period corresponds to 20 lakh to 10,000 BC. Then this is the Mesolithic age, that is 10,000 to 4,000. You may write 10,000 to 4,000. And this 4,000, you may say this is not the 4,000, rather it is 8,000 to 4,000 BC. So this is the third time period, right? You may get confused that I'm writing here 20 lakh to 10,000, then 10,000 to 4,000, then 8,000 to 4,000. So in history, how history progresses, right? It is not in this fashion actually. History is not progressing in this fashion only, right? Actually, history progress in this fashion, right? Without ending of the one session, there is a possibility that another culture or another civilization may get a start. So that actually is happening in case of the Stone Age. So without ending the time, the duration or the span of the Mesolithic age, Neolithic also begins. So there are some parallel development that you may perceive, right? Why this differentiation? Why we are doing this kind of the differentiation between the Stone Age, Paleolithic, Mesolithic and the Neolithic? There are two important things. The first and foremost thing is that technological advancement. If I talk about the technological advancement and then change in changing climatic conditions. So these are two main criteria that in fact differentiates between the ages within the Stone Age. So Paleolithic to Mesolithic age, Mesolithic to Neolithic age. So what actually happens in this period was absent in this Mesolithic age. Of course, the things will continue from Mesolithic to Neolithic age, but there will certain technological advancement that will happen during the time of Neolithic age. So right, so history progress in this fashion, not actually in this fashion, right? So I just want to say it is not the Paleolithic, this is the Mesolithic, this is the Neolithic. This is not the exactly. Technically it is correct. Technically it is correct that after Paleolithic, Mesolithic will come, then Mesolithic will, after Neolithic will come. Technically it is correct one, but because of the overlapping of the time, I would like to say you, this is the development of Stone Age, Paleolithic to Mesolithic, Mesolithic to Neolithic. So technically it is correct. After Paleolithic, Mesolithic will come, Mesolithic, after Mesolithic, Neolithic will come. Are you getting my points? So what actually happened during this Paleolithic age? This can be again further divided into three subcategories like Upper Paleolithic age, Middle Paleolithic age and the Lower Paleolithic age. So Lower Paleolithic age is the most oldest one, right? Then the middle period is Middle Paleolithic age, and then is your Upper Paleolithic age, right? So in this period, what actually happened? What is the characteristic of this period? Initially, human being started using the tools, and the first tool used during this period was hand axe. This was hand axe. So this period is characterized by the use of first tool, that is your hand axe. This is the first and foremost thing. Then second, during the Upper Paleolithic age, yani in later part of the Paleolithic age, Upper Paleolithic age, painting, cave painting started. Cave painting started. Paintings started. So this is the characteristic of the Paleolithic age. When you come into this phase, in the subsequent phase that is called Mesolithic age, this period is characterized by the uses of microliths. Microliths are the small tools. Micro means that is called the small one. So this is called the microliths. Some other things also started in this age. What actually? This was the temporary settlement. Temporary settlement started. Temporary. It is not the permanent one. So temporary settlements also started. Temporary settlements started. And then most important thing is that we have the evidences of animal husbandry. That is called domestication of animal, you may write here. So domestication of animals started during this period. Domestication of animals started, and the first animal that was domesticated, that was called dog. And we have the evidences from here. There are two sites, that is called Adamgarh and the Bagaur. You must be aware of that, right? So when we are moving from Mesolithic to Neolithic age, this period, by some of the historians, said that it was a revolutionary period. But that is a matter of historical debate and discussion. We should not go into that. What happens during this period? During this period, agriculture, the permanent agriculture or agriculture started. Agriculture started. This is the one thing that we can write here. And just because of the beginning of the agriculture, life become permanent. So there is sedentary life started. Permanent settlements started. Permanent settlements, or you may write sedentary lifestyle started, right? The earliest evidence of agriculture and the permanent settlement, we can have the evidence from both these agriculture and the permanent settlement from one of the site that is now in Pakistan, that is called Mehergarh, right? The third important thing is that is called the invention of the wheel and the wheel-made potteries. Wheels and wheel-made potteries. And it was something like a revolution, because it revolutionized the communication during this time. And the pottery making also become easier. We have certain references of pottery making even in the Mesolithic period, but that is the very limited evidences we are having, like from the Laghnaj, right? Handmade potteries were there. There was no wheel-made pottery. But during this period, we are having what that is called the wheel-made potteries, right? Now, technically, after moving from Paleolithic to Mesolithic, Mesolithic to Neolithic, another stage will come, and that is your another civilization will come. I'm sorry, another civilization will come, and this civilization is not civilization, that is called culture. I'm sorry, is the culture is your Chalcolithic age. Chalcolithic age. Chalcolithic age. Lithic age. Chalcolithic age. Chalcolithic age. Right. So this is your Chalcolithic age. The time period, if I talk about the time, this corresponds to 3500 to 1000 BC, but it is not unanimously accepted by the scholars, right? In some of the books you may get the time period from 4000 BC, but in some of the books you will get 3500 BC. So it is the beginning of Chalcolithic age. Ancient history is still a matter of more excavation, more analysis, more debates and the discussions. So there is a problem in the times, but don't worry about it. So Chalcolithic age, right? So Chalcolithic age that begins in 3500 to 1000 BC. So this is a time period of what I say that is called Chalcolithic age. When we look into this, it is a period of transition. So it is a period of transition. This is the period of transition. Why it is called the period of transition? So period of transition. This is your period of transition. Period of transition. So what is this transition? Actually, we are primarily using here that is called the stone. It was Stone Age, right? But in Chalcolithic age, we started using metals, and the first metal that was used, that was copper. So this was the copper. So use of copper, we can witness here use of copper, right? So use of copper. So use of copper is started here. Copper. So this was the first metal used by the human beings. So Chalcolithic age is virtually is what this is. This is stone metal age. Stone metal age. Stone metal age, right? It is a stone metal age, right? It is a stone metal age. Now, agriculture started during the Neolithic age, right? Agriculture already started during the Neolithic age, but now agriculture will be now more complex. Agriculture will be advanced now. Comparatively, relatively, agriculture will further grow. Society will be more complex. Society would be more complex. Society would be more complex now, right? In fact, we have certain evidences of metallurgy as well. In the later stage of Chalcolithic age, there's use of metallurgy is started. So we started using a metal that is called copper. But now during this period itself, we had the evidences of metallurgy, right? So all this prepared a background for the development of prepared the background for the development of urban age in subsequent time period. Urban age in subsequent phase. That is, I'm talking about the Indus Valley civilization, right? Are you getting my point? So prepared the background for the development of urban age. Are you getting me? So this is the one thing now. Now coming to the other aspect. I'm taking it upward, a little up. Now, so let me a little bit clear for you. See here. When I'm talking about the Chalcolithic age, that is the age of copper and the stone. So that is basically stone and metal age. This age can be further divided. It can be further divided into three broad phases, right? Three broad phases. So what is this phase, sirs and ma'ams? So let me make you clear. right, sirs and ma'ams? So this is the first phase of Chalcolithic age. Chalcolithic phase 1. Chalcolithic phase 1. I'm writing in the brief, right? Chalcolithic phase 1. Then we may write here Chalcolithic phase 2. Chalcolithic phase 2. Chalcolithic phase 2. And then there is the third phase, that is Chalcolithic phase 3. Chalcolithic phase 3. So this is the 3. If I come into the time scale, so this period is, that period corresponds from 3500 to 2600 BC, 2600 BC, 3500 to 2600 BC. This Chalcolithic phase 2, you may write that is from 2600 to 1900 BC, 1900 BC, right? And then this period is from 1900 to 1000 BC. Now, in some of the big book, you may get it ends in 700 BC as well, right? So now, see, this period corresponds to a rural culture, that corresponds to a rural culture. Just try to understand that maybe a rural culture. This Chalcolithic age corresponds to, I'm talking about the correspondence. So corresponds to an urban phase, corresponds to urban phase. And then when I'm coming back to this third phase, that is again a rural culture, right? Rural culture. Right. So now with this understanding, we can understand the origin and development of Indus Valley civilization itself, right? So in Indus Valley civilization, this is the period that corresponds to the mature phase of Harappa or Indus Valley civilization, mature phase of IVC, Indus Valley civilization, right? So it is the mature phase of Indus Valley civilization. What do you mean by this mature phase of Indus Valley civilization? Actually, there are the various thoughts in regard to the origin of Indus Valley civilization. There is a group of scholars who tried to establish this, that Indus Valley civilization was not indigenous in origin. Rather, it was supplanted by or planted by some of the foreigners, right? But the historians in the modern historiography, they try to put forward the theory that Indus Valley civilization was an indigenous civilization, and that gradually evolved from a rural culture to urban culture. So in this context, you could understand this rural culture also corresponds to early Harappan age. That corresponds to early Harappa, early Harappan age, early Harappa. So this is the age when Indus Valley civilization was not there. In fact, it was in the process of developing itself in the urban civilization in the subsequent phase. So this is the early Harappan phase. So there are certain examples like Amri, Kodiji, there are different Kalibanga also, right? So they were the rural sites here. Gradually they developed and established a mature phase of Indus Valley civilization somewhere around in 2600 BC, and that continued for till 1900 BC, right? So this is the early Harappan, this is your mature Harappa, that is called the urban phase of Indus Valley civilization. And after 1900 BC, just because of the several factors, more important factor is that is called ecological environmental factor. Just because of that, the Indus Valley civilization declined, right? So this phase is declining state, or you may say decline of Indus Valley civilization, and you may write is the late Harappa age, late Harappa, right? So this is called your late Harappa age, right? Sirs and ma'ams, please just try to understand. So this is your what? That is called your late Harappa age. This is your late Harappa age, right? Now, so mature phase of Indus Valley civilization declined somewhere in 1900 BC, right? So this is the time period when the decline of Indus Valley civilization, that was somewhere in 1900 BC. So 1900 BC, 1900 BC, Indus Valley civilization declined. It declined, right? What do you mean by the decline? Was it a massacre over there? The people were butchered, they were killed, they were slayed down? No. In fact, this decline, when I'm talking about the decline of Indus Valley civilization, it simply means the dispersal of the population. So this decline is what that is called the dispersal of the population. Dispersal of the population. And this dispersal was in two directions. One was in the south, towards the south, and other was towards the east. And we have certain references. If we look into the South Indian history, then we will find the pottery that was used, that is BRW, by the people of Indus Valley civilization. The same kind of the pottery was used in the South India after the decline of this Indus Valley civilization. So that also established some kind of the connection of the dispersal of the population in the two directions. One was in the south, right? So this was the dispersal of the population, right? Are you getting my points, sirs and ma'ams? So this is the most important thing that I would like to say with you. Okay, so this was the urban phase. Now, what are the other features of this urban phase of Indus Valley civilization? So I'm talking about the different characteristic of this urban phase of Indus Valley civilization. It was a Bronze Age civilization. This was the Bronze Age civilization. It was Bronze Age civilization. Bronze Age civilization. This was a Bronze Age civilization, right? Because metallurgy was already there in the Chalcolithic age, right? So that was being continued, and it on the massive scale, bronze was being made. So this age is known as the Bronze Age civilization. Are you getting my points, sirs and ma'ams? Now, this phase is known for some kind of the uniformity. Generally, people say that it is known for uniform town planning, but there are certain exceptions as well. Like you will take the example from Kalibanga, Dhalavira, etc. Right? But somewhere you can get extraordinary uniformity in Indus Valley civilization. What is this concept of extra uniformity? Extra uniformity. It is not in town planning. It is not in town planning. That you may get it. Where you can get it. I'm sorry. So where is this extra uniformity? This extra uniformity you can find in the uses of seals of Indus Valley civilization. You may get it in the use of the pottery. You may get it in weight and measures, or simply you can say the bricks. There was a fixed ratio that was in the 4:2:1, right? Pottery. Seals were the most distinctive, most beautiful artifact of Indus Valley civilization. So these are the certain features that you may write over here, right? Are you getting my points? So this is your mature phase. This is a mature phase. That is the urban civilization that I was talking about, right, sirs and ma'ams? This was the mature phase of Indus Valley civilization. That corresponds to 2600 to 1900 BC, right, sirs and ma'ams? Now, coming to the other phase, that I may write, that is called the Vedic age. So after coming to this Indus Valley civilization, the next age is, or the next phase is of Vedic age, right? So now again I'm going to take a broader timeline, right, sirs and ma'ams? Now, so let me do it. Please allow me to do it. Now, coming to right, sirs and ma'ams? So it is the mature phase, okay, mature phase of urban civilization. So I'm being continued here, from here only. You may get the idea, right? So this is your IVC. IVC corresponds to 2600 to 1900. That is now inside the board. So this is 2600 to 1900 BC. So after this period, there's another phase start, that is called the Vedic age, right? So there is the next age phase that is known as Vedic age. That is called the Vedic age. Vedic age or Vedic culture. You may write Vedic age. Now this period can be again divided. This time period, the time period of this age is from 1500 to 600 BC. And now this period can be again divided into two broad categories or two broad periods. This one is your, this period can be so now sirs and ma'ams, this is your early Vedic age and this is your later Vedic age, right? So the first phase is your Rig Vedic age, Rig Vedic age, Rig Vedic age, or it is also known as early Vedic age, also known as early Vedic age. So either the two words you can use for this period, and this period is from 1500 to 1000 BC. 1000 BC, right? So this is the early Vedic age, early Vedic age. So when we will talk about the Vedic literature, the first Vedic text is your Rig Vedic period, and the source material of this period is your Rig Veda. That's why this early Vedic age is also known as Rig Vedic age, right? So just because of the source material, this period is known as Rig Vedic age, right? Then the other age is that corresponds to 1000 to 600 BC, or actually I should write over here. That is 1000 to 600 BC, 1000 to 600 BC. And this period is later Vedic age, later Vedic age, later Vedic age, later Vedic age, right sirs and ma'ams? Later Vedic age. During this period, the social and the political, please mind it, social and the political organization was Jana. Jana is what? What do you mean by Jana? Actually, there was no concept of territory at this time. Actually, the economy was primarily pastoral economy. We were not much engaged or involved in the agriculture practices. So we were nomadic. We were keep on moving from one place to the other place throughout this period, Rig Vedic age, right? So there was no concept of territory attached to the political structure or the social structure. So we were organized in a band or the group of the people, and this band or the group of the people was known as the Jana. Jana, right? Jana. So Jana, if I talk about Jana, if I talk about the Jana, so Jana was just a political and social unit. If I consider it in the political units, so there was a concept of Rajan. There was a concept of Rajan. But this Rajan was not the king. He was not the king. Not king. He was not king. Then what was this Rajan? What do you mean by this Rajan now? So this Rajan was simply the chieftain of the tribe. Chieftain of the tribe. Tribe, right? Are you getting my points? So the chieftain of the tribe. The concept of property was in the cow or the cattle. Cattle was the property. Land was not the property at this time. So cattle was the property, and the most popular crime of the society, that was the crime, most common crime of the society, most common crime of the society was cattle theft, right? Are you getting me? Cattle theft. There was no Varna structure as such. But when we are coming to this age, later Vedic age, when there is a transition from this age to this age, right, sirs and ma'ams? So when we are moving from Rig Vedic to later Vedic age, there was a transition. Again, it was a transition. Now, the economy got changed. Now we were more focused or more engaged into agrarian activities, agrarian practices, right? So now the concept of जो property that developed in the land, right? For the sake of the land, now Jana started fighting among themselves to occupy the padas, that is called the territory. So for the sake of the land, now Janas were fighting among themselves. So this period is marked by, this period which is 1000 to 600 is marked by the formation of Janpads. 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 So this is marked by the Janpads. Now, there was a Rajan. Now, the position of Rajan is stronger now. Rajan was stronger now. Bureaucracy, some kind of bureaucracy started crystallizing. It was not organized. It was not established. So, bureaucracy started crystallizing. Bureaucracy started crystallizing. Crystallizing. It was not well organized bureaucratic structure, but some kind of the bureaucracy started because we had the references of 12 Ratnins. 12 Ratnins. But these Ratnins were not the bureaucrats, rather they were the close associates of the king, but not the king, the Rajan. Rajan is still the chieftain. Still the concept of hereditary kingship or the monarchy was not established. So in that sense, we cannot say the Rajan is the king, but he is still the chieftain of the tribe. So 12 Ratnins gave the sense of that the bureaucracy started crystallizing during this period, right? During this period itself, right, fourfold Varna structure established. Fourfold Varna structure, fourfold Varna system established. That is a Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudras. Then Gotra system also established. Gotra system also established. This is established in short form ESTD, right? Ashram system also established. So ashram is nothing but simply the stages of one's life. In any individual in Hindu fold, there is a 4 different stages of the life conceived. The idea of this different stages of life is such like brahmacharya, then is your grihastha, then is your vanprastha, and then the final is your sannyas. So considering one's life of 100 years, so it is divided into 4 equal parts of his life. 0 to 5, yani birth to 25 years of age is the age of or the phase of brahmacharya. Then comes into the grihastha, an individual comes into the grihastha ashram, 25 to 50 years, and then into the vanprastha ashram when an individual gets retirement from the active stage of his life, that is 50 to 75 years, and 75 to 100 years of the sannyas when an individual leaves home just to make himself free from the worldly bonds, right? So in this period, ashram system, there is the 4 ashram. Only first 3 ashrams was established during the later Vedic age. The 4th and last ashram, that is called sannyas, was established during the post-Vedic age. It's not in the later Vedic age. Post-Vedic age means what? That is after the end of the Vedic age. And the later Vedic age is the later part of the Vedic age. Are you getting my points? So the first 3 only, the first three ashram established. First 3 ashram only, right? So these are the characteristics that you may understand. That is called what? That is called the later Vedic age. Now, if I come into the use of the pottery, that is also important, I believe. So this Rig Vedic period, there is one more pottery that is called OCP, that is being continued from the Chalcolithic age. And later Vedic age, there was another pottery that is called PZW, right? Now this later Vedic age is also known for the use of iron. So we entered with this age into the iron age. So it begins now. So iron age started from the later Vedic age itself. Somewhere around 1000 BC, we started the use of the iron. So it is the beginning of iron age. So now you can understand stone age, then to the copper age, then we came into the bronze age, and then we came into the iron age. That you could understand easily now, right? Now, coming after this age is your what? Now, taking you back now. Okay. So now being continued here itself. Saranma. So I'm continuing from here only, right, sirs and ma'ams? 1000. So to 600, that was the age of later Vedic age. Now coming to the Mahajanpad age. What is the Mahajanpad age, sirs and ma'ams? So let me continue with that itself. So if I go into Mahajanpad age, that is somewhere around 600 to 325 BC, you may say. So the next stage is your this is your Mahajanpad age. Janpad age. And roughly this period is from 600 BC to 325 BC. Now, see what happened during this period, Mahajanpad age. So now Janpads and Janpads were now fighting among themselves for the sake of more and more land. And they were just trying to annex more and more lands into their territory. And that gave way to the formation of Mahajanpads. So what is the Mahajanpad? That is the bigger territorial units. So Mahajanpad is what? That is the one thing that you should clearly understand. This is a larger territorial units. Larger territorial units. Larger territorial units. Right, sirs and ma'ams? Units. And with this larger territorial units, the concept of kingdom started. So the concept of what I say, that is called the king, that was also established during this period. And the king was hereditary monarchy in the kingdoms, right? There is another structure as well that is called the confederation or the republic, where the monarchy was not there, right? So the concept of king established here, kingdom was there, larger territorial units, they are called the Mahajanpads, right? In this period, we had total 16 Mahajanpads. 16 Mahajanpads, right, sirs and ma'ams? 16 Mahajanpads, right? 16 Mahajanpads. And out of this 16 Mahajanpads, there are a few Mahajanpads, they were quite powerful. They are called Magadh. Then there was Koshal, Avanti, and Vats. So out of the 16 Mahajanpads, they were the most powerful Jan Mahajanpads, Magadh, Koshal, Avanti, and Vats. And out of these 4 Mahajanpads, again, Magadh emerged victorious. Magadh established itself as the most powerful Mahajanpad that hegemonized other Mahajanpads, right? Are you getting my points? So this is the Mahajanpads. They are the larger territorial units. Kingdom started, got their existence during this period. The concept of king also established with established bureaucracy, with standing army and all, right? So Magadh, Koshal, Avanti, and the Vats. Are you getting my points? So Magadh. So this is the one thing. Now during this period, as I said told you that dynastic rule started with this king, with this kingdom, with this king. Dynastic rule started. During this period. Since Mughal was all powerful and Magadh hegemonized all the 15 Mahajanpadas, so we will try to understand the different dynasties of Magadh. Okay, so in Magadh you can notice in Magadh what you will notice, there were the 3 dynasties. Rule of 3 dynasty. One was your Haryanka dynasty. This followed by Shishunag dynasty, and then the dynasty is that is called Nanda dynasty, right? During the Haryanka dynasty, if I talk about, there are 3 kings that through the mnemonics you can understand, that is called Bau, that is called Bimbisara, Ajatasatru and the Udayan. When I coming to this dynasty, the Shishunag dynasty, that is called SK, mnemonics is SK, Shishunag, then Kala Ashok. And this Kala Ashok's time, the first Buddhist council was, second Buddhist council was organized. During the time of Ajatasatru, first Buddhist council organized at Rajgir or Rajgir. During the time of this Kala Ashok, second Buddhist council was organized. Second Buddhist council was organized. That is at Vaishali, right? I will tell you now what is this Buddhist councils. And when I am coming to this Nanda dynasty, this was your Mahapadmanand and then is your Dhanananda. This is the mnemonics that is called MD, Mahapadmanand and the Dhanananda, right? Dhanananda. Are you getting my points? Now, so in parallel to the development of this Mahajanpads, this period is sirs and ma'ams. This period also witnesses, there is a parallel development of the emergence of heterodox sects. So in this period itself, sirs and ma'ams, the two developments that you can see here, one is the emergence of heterodox sects. And it is said that almost 62 heterodox sects emerged. 62. And the important ones were Buddhism by Lord Buddha. Then is your Jainism by Mahavira Swami. Then there was Charvakism. Then there was Ajivaks, right? This Ajivak was established by Mughali Goshala. And this is the philosophy that is called the fatalist philosophy. It was fatalist philosophy. Fatalist philosophy. What do you mean by the fatalist philosophy? That believes in the fate. Everything is predetermined. And this philosophy is against the concept of the karma. So that denies the karma. Fatalist being the fatalist that denies the karma, right? And the Charvakism is, or Charvak, established by Charvak itself, that was a materialistic philosophy. Materialistic philosophy, right? Are you getting me? That was a materialistic philosophy. If you are in this world and your prime duty is to keep yourself happy all the time, even if you don't have a penny in your pocket, to borrow money and just buy ghee, that is called purified butter, ghee, to keep yourself satisfied. In spite of not having a penny in your pocket, you should live a life of king size life. You must live a life of king size. So ultimate objective is to, under this Charvakism, the philosophy of Charvakism is that just to keep yourself happy at any cost. No worry, you don't have anything. If you have not anything, if you are not having any penny in your pocket, दूसरे के pocket में है. So in someone's pocket, that is your responsibility. So take the penny out of his pocket for your happiness, right? So this is the philosophy. Buddhism and Jainism that you know about. So Buddhism and Jainism was there. Now, this period is also marked by this period. So there is a third development during this period this is the period of second urbanization. That is called second urbanization. This is the period of second urbanization in Indian subcontinent. Second urbanization, right? The first urbanization was in the subcontinent, can be witnessed in the period of IVC, Indus Valley Civilization. The second urbanization was during the 6th century BC, that is the period from 600 to 325 BC. That is second urbanization. Trade and commerce was flourishing. And that's why there was a luxurious type of the pottery that came into the being, that is called NBPW. Just because of economic prosperity, luxurious potteries were in the use. So during this urbanization, luxurious potteries came into being. Potteries came into the being. And these potteries were northern black polished ware. That is called NBPW. That is very much important. So now you came to know about the different of the potteries. During the Stone Age, there was a handmade pottery. When you are coming into the Indus Valley civilization, there was a BRW that I talked about, black and red ware. Now you enter into the OCP culture, that is called ochre colored pottery. And then this is the PZW culture that corresponds to the later Vedic age. When we are entering into the 6th century BC, that is the age of Mahajanapads, this was what? That is called NBPW, and that will continue even during the Mauryan periods as well. So NBPW is characterized by the 6th century, the characteristic of 6th century BC as well as the Mauryan period. NBPW. Are you getting my points? So this was the time period, right? So this was this NBPW. Now see, again coming back to, so during this period 600 to 325 BC, the 3 developments happened. One, the formation of bigger territorial units, Mahajanapads. There were 16 Mahajanapads, and finally Magad will emerge victorious. And in Magad, the first empire of India, that is the Mauryan Empire, will establish. The second important thing is that the second urbanization took place here. Just because of economic prosperity, luxurious type of the pottery came into the use. And the third thing, that is the emergence of heterodox sects. That was a kind of reaction against the Vedic culture and the practices. So there was almost 62 heterodox sects were there, and the important ones were, that is your Buddhism, that is called your Jainism, then your Charvaks, and then is your Ajivak. So these are the philosophy. Ajivak is what that is called the fatalist philosophy, predeterminist philosophy, that you can say, that denies the concept of the karma, practice of the karma. And when coming to the Charvakism, that is a materialistic philosophy. Are you getting my points? And you know much about the Buddhism and the Jainism, right? Are you getting my points? Now, when this period was going on, there was a parallel development as well. There are certain parallel development in history that you can notice here, right? So during this period itself. So let me continue with this period itself. I'm sorry, give me a little bit time, because the time scale, I just want to give you a slide. That will actually work for you. Anyways, so in this period itself, Mahajanapad, that is the period right now. So here only, this period also witnesses the foreign invasions in India, foreign invasions. So during this period itself, you may write it. So parallel, there is a parallel development. And what is this parallel development, sirs and ma'ams? And this parallel development is, sirs and ma'ams, that is the foreign invasion. That is of foreign invasion. Okay, right? This is the foreign invasion. This is your foreign invasions. Foreign invasion, right? Invasion. That you may take it from 550 to 320 or 330 BC, right? 330 BC. Are you getting my points? Right? So that there is two foreign invasions that can be witnessed during this period. Sirs and ma'ams. One is Persian or Iranian. Persian or Iranian invasion. Persian invasion. Invasion. Right, sirs and ma'ams? So this is your Persian invasion, right? So this is the foreign invasion. This is the phase 1. And this is phase 1, you can say. And then is 326 BC, that is phase 2, you may consider, right? Persian invasion. And this is your Iran, you may say it, Iranian invasion. And this was the first foreign invasion that India witnessed. Iranian invasion, right? Iranian invasion. The first king that invaded India, or the first king was that invaded India, this was your Cyrus. A little bit it is hanging, so let me have it. So this is the Cyrus. So Cyrus is the first king in India. Cyrus, right? And the last king of this dynasty was Darius III. And they had ilakas in their under their control. The territory under their control was Punjab and the Sindh. That's the northwest India. Punjab, Sindh and all, right? Punjab, Sindh and all. So Darius III. So this is the time period. Persian, Cyrus, the first who came to India, first Iranian, first Persian king, and then Darius. They were not into the mainlands. They were limited to the northwest of India, and they had the control over the Punjab and the Sindh region, that is outside the mainland of India, right? In 326, so their time was, this is 550 to 330. This is the first phase, 550 to 330 BC. Until this time, they were into the northwest of India. Now, what happened, sirs and ma'ams? Alexander, that is called the Greeks under Alexander attacked on India. Alexander attacked on India, and that was the time period of 326 BC. 326 BC, right, sirs and ma'ams? What actually happened during this time, sirs and ma'ams? Let me make you clear. So, Alexander, there are certain kings that you need to understand. One is the king of Takshila, Ambi. Ambi was contemporary to him. Ambi of Takshila. There was a king that is called Porus. His kingdom was between the on the bank of Jhelum, river Jhelum. His kingdom was on the bank of river Jhelum. And in Magad, there was king that is called Dhanananda. That is in the Magad in Dhanananda. This was the Magad. That was Dhanananda, right? So when Alexander came to India, he was supported by, or in fact invited by the Alexander. Alexander fought a battle with the Porus on the bank of river Jhelum, and in Greek it is known as Hydaspes. So Battle of Hydaspes took place during this time. Battle of Hydaspes. Just because of the limitation of the space, I am writing BOS. That is called Battle of Hydaspes. Hydapses. Hydaspes. Right? So in this battle, Porus was defeated. Right? But Alexander was very much inspired, or he was very happy to see his brevity. That's why he returned all the territory. And then he decided to move towards Magad in the further east to fight with Dhananda. But somehow he came to know that Dhananda had a big army of elephants. So there was a kind of fear in the troops of the Alexander. And Alexander had to withdraw just because of this factor and several other historical factors to go back home, right? So Dhananda was at this time, right? So there's another development that took place during this period, right? Now, coming to the other phase, other developmental phase, right, sirs and ma'ams? So now you understood this, sirs and ma'ams? Now, so being continued. So, sirs and ma'ams, so being continued, 6th century BC. 6th century BC. Now you have seen all the developments. So continued here. Now, right, sirs and ma'ams. So here, after this, the Mauryan Empire came into the being. Mauryan Empire came into the being, right? Empire came into the being, right, sirs and ma'ams? So Mauryan Empire came into the being, right? So let me talk about the Mauryan Empire, right, sirs and ma'ams? You know that it is the first empire of India. This is the first empire of India. 325, 326 BC, it was Alexander, and it was the return of the Alexander. So Alexander, in fact, provided an opportunity to ponder upon or to think on that there should be a unified India. Chanakya is planning, if you have listened about or heard about Chanakya, who was the guru of Chandragupta Maurya, and in some of the documentaries and the movies, you must have seen him, and some audiobooks as well. He was planning of Brihat India. He was talking about the larger India, right? So there was a concept of larger India. So it is the indication of that some kind of unification was necessary at that time, and that led to ultimately the formation of the Mauryan Empire, which was the first empire in India, right? So this time period, this is the time period of 325 BC to 185 BC, right, sirs and ma'ams? So the time period from sirs here, ma'am, 325 to 185 BC. And this was the first empire in India. It was the first empire in India. First empire of India. First empire of India. Of, in fact, Indian subcontinent. First empire of India, right? And the important kings were of course Chandragupta Maurya, Chandragupta Maurya, Chandragupta Maurya. Then this is your Bindusara, and the third one is that is your Ashoka, and the last king was Brihadrat. So last king that I am writing here, sirs and ma'ams, that is called Brihadrat. There are too many kings and the princes. The last king was Brihadrat. Right, sirs and ma'ams? So these are the important kings. So from this period 325 to 185 BC, the first king, second king, and the third king. So they are the powerful, most powerful king. After the death of Ashoka, the kings become incapable in the Mauryan Empire, right? And gradually they started declining. And the Brihadrat was assassinated by one of his military commanders, whose name was Pushyamitra Shunga, right? So Brihadrat was assassinated by one of his military commanders, that is called Pushyamitra Shunga, right? Are you getting me? So Pushyamitra Shunga, right, sirs and ma'ams? Right, so this was the time period. So 185 till 185 we can see what I say, that is called the period of that is called Mauryan period. That was the period of first empire in India, right? So first empire in India. But what actually happened, sirs and ma'ams, after this Mauryan period? After this period, geopolitical condition of India changed. Geopolitical condition of India changed. What happened during this period? With the decline of with the decline of what I say, the Mauryans, the decline of Mauryans. Another phase begins, in fact, that is called the Post-Mauryan period, that you may write here. Post-Mauryan period. Post-Mauryan period. Post-Mauryan period. Mauryan period. Right, sirs and ma'ams? Post-Mauryan period. And this period may be, you may write, that corresponds to 200 BC to 300 AD, roughly. This is a rough time period, 300 AD, right? 300 AD. And I was talking about, okay, with the change of the dynasty, that is from the Mauryan to the Post-Mauryan period, a change of the period, in fact, in history, from Mauryan to the Post-Mauryan period. During this Mauryan period, geopolitical condition of India was changed. There was a vast empire. There was one empire that was that had control over almost the entire subcontinent. But this period is marked by the political disintegration. There are certain native states or indigenous states that came into being with the decline of the Mauryan empires, and just because of some changing realities in northwest India, some foreign dynasty also came to the being. So with the decline of this Mauryans, right, sirs and ma'ams? Few foreign native dynasties came into the being. Few native dynasties came to the being. One is your Shunga dynasty, Shungas. This is followed by Kanvas, and then there was Satvana in the Deccan region. Satvahanas in the Deccan region. Are you getting me? If I talk about Shungas, the time period of the Shunga can be 185 to 72 BC. The Kanva's reign is somewhere around 72 to 27 BC. And Satvana's you may write that is somewhere around 200 BC to 200 AD. So this is the tentative time period, 200 BC to 200 AD. 200 AD. So what is important for you when I am talking about the indigenous dynasties that sprang up with the decline of the Mauryans? Shungas, Kanvas and the Satavahanas came to the being. It is the shortest lived dynasty. It is the longest lived dynasty in the indigenous dynasties of the Post-Mauryan period. Right? Are you getting me? So these two are important for you. This is the shortest lived. This is the shortest lived dynasty, and this is the longest lived dynasty. Right, sirs and ma'ams? If I look at the map, so just I'm going to have a little map here. A little map here, right, sirs and ma'ams? So this was the region of Shatavahanas. This was the region of Shungas, and then after them, this was the region of, after Shungas, this was the reign of Kanvas. Right, sirs and ma'ams? So this was the Kanvas, right? Are you getting me? So this is your Satavahanas. This is the Satavahanas, right? So they are the Satavahanas, right, sirs and ma'ams? This was your Shungas, and this is your Kanvas, right? Are you getting me? So this was the situation at this time. But if I talk about the northwest of India, then there were the foreign dynasties. There was a foreign dynasty. So let me continue with those dynasties also. So now I'm changing the color so that you can easily differentiate, sirs and ma'ams. Right, sirs and ma'ams? So this is your native dynasties, Sunga, Kanvas and the Satavahanas. And this side you will have what I say, that is called Indo-Greeks. Indo-Greeks. Why they are called Indo-Greeks? Alexander was also Greek, but these Greeks were now assimilated into Indian society. Alexander came to India but returned back, went home. Indo-Greeks came to India and they settled in India. They stayed in India, and that's why they can be differentiated easily by this name, Indo-Greeks. Greeks and the Indo-Greeks. Greeks were those who came to India and they leave India. Are you getting my points? Okay. So leave India. And Indo-Greeks were those people who came to India and settled in India. Right, sirs and ma'ams? Is it okay? So Indo-Greeks, then is your Scythians. They were followed by the Scythians. Then there was the Parthians, and then there was Kushans, right? Indo-Greeks, the first foreigner to come India. Why they came to India? Actually, see, Wang Ti, there was a king of China, who had constructed China Wall, right? Before the construction of this China Wall, these tribes were going into the China for their livelihood. But with the construction of this China Wall, this is your China Wall. With the construction of this China Wall, now these tribes who were going to this place, towards what I say, that is called, used to go this side, that is called the China. Now they are towards India. So this is your China, just because of Chinese Wall. Now they diverted towards India and they came one after the other, Indo-Greeks, Scythians, Parthians and the Kushanas. If I talk about the Parthians, there is one king whose name is Gondopharenus. During his time, first Christian missionary, St. Thomas, came to India in 1st century AD itself. St. Thomas came to India. He was the first Christian. It was a time when Christianity got birth. So the first Christian missionary came to India, that is St. Thomas. If I talk about the Indo-Greeks, there was a king whose name was Menander. And this Menander is known for his debates and discussion with a Buddhist monk whose name is Nagasena. With the discussion of Nagasena, Menander came to the fold of Buddhism. There was a debate, discussion. In fact, there was a wrangle, and the wrangle was over the issue of non-existence of the soul. So now Menander came into the Buddhist fold. After this discussion, he was very much happy with this philosophical discussion with the Nagasena, and he decided to adopt Buddhism. And he came into the fold of Buddhism by the name of Milind. And the entire debate, entire conversation, that is documented in a book that is called Milind Panho, that is written in a book that is called Milind Panho. There is a very compact space, but anyway, I am writing here that you may understand now. That is called Milind Panho. Milind Panho is the question of the Milinds, that is in Pali. That was in Pali language. Questions of Milind, right? So this is the importance of Indo-Greeks. Nagsen, Menander, Milind Panho, Parthians, Gondopharenus, Scythians. They started a system that is called Kshatrapa system. Kshatrapa system. So this is called what? That is called Kshatrapa system. They started Kshatrapa system. That was basically a military rule over the provinces. Military governors were given some provinces to rule. So in this Kshatrapa system, military governors were ruling over provinces. That is called Kshatrapa system. And Kushanas were known for issuing purest gold coins. Gold coins in India, Indian coals in one. And there are other what I say, that is called things happened during this period. Kushana, the fourth Buddhist council took place during the time of Kanishka. Kanishka, that's the famous king of Kushanas. Fourth Buddhist council. Fourth Buddhist council. Buddhist council took place. Right? Are you getting my points? So fourth Buddhist council, that is the fourth Buddhist council. It may be a little bit, not clear to you, but this is the important thing that happened here. Fourth Buddhist council took place here. Okay, Kushana, that is called during the reign of Kanishka. Right? Now coming to the other part now. So continuing from the post-Maurya. So Maurya to post-Maurya. Now coming to the other part, that is called the Gupta age. Right? So let me continue with the Gupta age, sirs and ma'ams. So may I take it up a little forward? Right, sirs and ma'ams? Right, sirs and ma'ams? So I am continuing from here itself. Now I'm continuing with the Gupta age itself. Right, sirs and ma'ams? So now coming to Gupta age. So post-Mauryan continued from here. Post-Mauryan to now continued here. Continued here, sirs and ma'ams. Continued. That is a Gupta age. So again, I am coming with the timeline. That is all Gupta age. Right, sirs and ma'ams? So here in the Gupta age, sirs and ma'ams, so this is your Gupta age. Gupta age, right, sirs and ma'ams? So this time period is from, you may write 320 to 550 AD. So this is the time 320 to 550 AD. 550 AD. 550 AD, right? 320, you may write 320, or it's better to write 320, and in some of the books you will find this starts from, okay, just a second, let me make a correction, little correction, so that no confusion left. I'm giving you 275, then 319 to 550 AD. So this is the time period. What is this? 275. So the initial person of the Gupta age is Sri Gupta. Initial persons are Sri Gupta and Ghatotkacha, his son Ghatotkacha. So Sri Gupta is the initial person, Sri Gupta. Then is Ghatotkacha. Okay, the initial persons. And they were just the Samantas, or the feudal lords of Kushanas, right? But the actual dynasty, the real founder was Chandragupta first. So now the second phase begins from here, right? So from there only, right? So they are considered as the initial persons of the Gupta Empire, Sri Gupta and the Ghatotkacha. But the real founder is Chandragupta first. Chandragupta first. This Chandragupta first is followed by Samudragupta. Then after Samudragupta, this is called what? That is called Chandragupta second, important king. Chandragupta second, or you may write Chandragupta Vikramaditya, because he had taken the title of Vikramaditya, hence he is known as Chandragupta second, right, sirs and ma'ams? Then comes to your Kumaragupta. Then comes Kumaragupta, right, sirs and ma'ams? Then comes the Askandagupta, and then you may write after this Askandagupta, the Guptas declined. So this is the stage of later Guptas. Later Guptas. Later Guptas. And this time period is somewhere around from 520 to 550 AD. So 520, you may write, it's better to write here, 520 to 550 AD. Right, sirs and ma'ams? If I talk about Skandagupta, this time period may be okay, I will write all. Okay. Then you may write 455 to 467 BC. 455 to 467 AD. Right, sirs and ma'ams? And then this is the time period of 415 AD when the Kumaragupta came into the being. Then Chandragupta second, that is called 376 AD, and Chandragupta came into the being. Then this is your 336 AD when Samudragupta came into being, and this Chandragupta that came into being, that is not in being, but the rule started in 319 AD. Right, sirs and ma'ams? Now, so the time period when Chandragupta first came into the being, this is the Samudragupta that came into the office. Then this is the time period of time when Chandragupta second or Chandragupta came into his office. Then this is the time for 415, that is Kumaragupta came into the office. Skandagupta that came into the office, and this is the later Gupta, that is the declining Guptas. Are you getting my point, sirs and ma'ams? Now, what is important about it? He is the real founder, and he started Gupta era. And married to a Lichvi princess. Samudragupta, he is known as Lichvi Dahitra, or he is known as Lichvi Dahitra. Since they are coming from the Vaisya community, to establish their legitimacy among the Kshatriyas, they had taken the title like this, Lichvi Dahitra, because his mother was a Lichvi princess and Lichvi was the Kshatriya clan, right? Chandragupta married to a Lichvi princess. So he has taken the title of Lichvi Dahitra. Just because of his expeditions, in North and South India, is known as Napoleon of India. V.A. Smith, this is a historian who gave him this epithet, Napoleon of India, V.A. Smith. Now, he had an official, Harisena gave him, wrote for him Prayag Prashasti. What is Prashasti? Prashasti means eulogization of someone, that is the excessive eulogization. So in this Prashasti, that is the kind of inscription that is written on the one of the edicts of the Ashoka. Harisena, who was the official of Samudragupta, was one of the official. He was in the office of Mahadandanaika and Sandhi Vigrahak. Harisena authored or wrote this Prayag Prashasti in the praise of his master Samudragupta. So this is the inscription, right? Chandragupta second. Then comes to the Kumaragupta. Okay? He was more a cultured person. In fact, he was a more cultured person. Cultured person. How he was a more cultured person, sirs and ma'ams? There were 9 illuminaries, Navratna, in his court. Illuminaries in his court. Right? Are you getting my points? So there was 9 illuminaries in his court. Now coming to the Kumaragupta, why Kumaragupta is famous? Kumaragupta is known for Nalanda University. He established Nalanda University, which was later on destroyed by Bakhtiyar Khilji. Nalanda University, right? Skandagupta. Why Skandagupta is famous, sirs and ma'ams? Huna's invasion. Huna's invasion. That is the another foreigner that came into India. So from Persian to Greeks to Indo-Greeks, then Scythians, Parthians, Kushanas, and finally these Hunas came into India during the time of the Guptas, right? There's a king whose name is Mihir, who was a Sav devotee. Mihir, one of the Huna king was, or ruler was, that is called Mihir. He was the Sav devotee. Here was, I'm just going to write Mihir, one of the rulers. Mihir, he was a Huna ruler, and he was Savite, Sav devotee, Shava devotee. He was Sava devotee, right, sirs and ma'ams? He was Sava devotee, right? He was Sava devotee, right, sirs and ma'ams? So are you getting my points? So this was the conditions at this time. So this was the somewhere around 550 to 750 AD, right? This is the story. Now coming to the other story now, and that is the age of Post-Gupta period, right, sirs and ma'ams? So I'm taking you to the another journey of Post-Gupta period. Post-Gupta period, right, sirs and ma'ams? Post-Gupta period. So I will take you to the journey of Post-Gupta period. In the Post-Gupta period, we will talk about certain dynasties, right? Now it is here now. So see here, let me draw again a timeline. See, sirs and ma'ams. So being continued from Gupta itself, right? So from Gupta itself being continued, I'm keeping myself continued. So Gupta then is your continued, right? Now here is Post-Gupta period, right? Again, Post-Gupta period is the period of political disintegrations, right? So see, let me write here. This is the Post-Gupta period. Post-Gupta period. Post-Gupta period. And this period is from 550 to 750 AD. 550 to 750 AD. 750 AD, right? So the time period, sirs and ma'ams, this is the post period. So what happened during this period? This period is characterized by the development of feudalism. So this period was characterized by feudalism. Within this feudalism, bigger states declined, and a smaller, too many states emerged, sprang up. So this is the period when we can see the rise of the feudalism, right? Feudalism. Now, within this, during this period, just because of feudalism, there are too many that led to the emergence of smaller states, smaller feudal states. You may write it, right? So this is the one thing. States, right? So this were the things, sirs and ma'ams, Post-Gupta period. Now, so let me draw a map, right? Now, with the decline of the Guptas, some important power came to the being, came into the existence, right, sirs and ma'ams? One is your Pushyabhuti dynasty. Pushyabhutis came to the being. Then there is another dynasty that is called Chalukyas. Chalukyas came into existence. Then, sirs and ma'ams, Pallavas also came into the existence. Pallavas, right, sirs and ma'ams? Just try to understand. Pushyabhutis, Chalukyas, and the Pallavas, right? And there are some petty states as well. There are certain petty states as well. Like here, there was Gaur. Sirs and ma'ams, I'm going to write very briefly here. Gaur. This was the Gaur Gaur. Then there was Kamrup. There was Kamrup in Assam. Kamrup. There was Kamrup. Kamrup, that is Assam. Gaur, that was in Bengal. Bengal. Kamrup, Bengal. You may write here Matrak. You may write here Matrak. Gujarat, that is called Matrak. Matrak. Matraks, that is in Gujarat. Gujarat. There was Mockeries. There was Mockeries. 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 And so many states. Mockeries, right? That is in UP, Uttar Pradesh. Mockeries, right, sirs and ma'am? So there are too many states at this time. So this is the period 550 to 750 BC that is characterized by the feudalism that led to the emergence of smaller feudal states like Matrak, Chaluks, Pallavas, Mockeries, Gauds, Kamrups, Pushyabhutis and all, right? The most famous king of this dynasty, of this Pushyabhutis was Harsha. He was Harsha. Harshvardhana. The most famous king was Harsha. That is called Harshvardhana. Here in Chalukyas, the most famous king was Pulkesin II. Pulkesin II. Kesin II. Then coming to the Pallavas. Pallavas, there are two kings, Mahendravarman. And then there is Narasimhavarman. Narasimhavarman, right, sirs and ma'ams? So this is called Narasimhavarman, right? Pallavas. Now see what happens here, sirs and ma'ams. Actually, Pushyabhuti, that was under the control of the Harshas. The most important king was Harsha. Harsha's sister was married to Mockeries. Grahavarma was the king at this time, and the Grahavarma was killed by Malwa. Was another kingdom. There was another kingdom right here. That was Malwa. That is called Malwa here. You may write Malwa. Malwa here. That is called the Malwa. Okay, Malwa. So Mockeries, King Grahavarma was defeated by Malwa with the assistance of Gaura king Shashanka. So Gaura king Shashanka. So Gaura king was Shashanka. Here was Shashank. Okay. Mockery king was Grahavarma, right? So with the help of Gaura king, Malwa king defeated Mockery king Grahavarma and he was killed, right? Then just to take the revenge of the murder of his brother-in-law and his elder brother Rajyavardhan, Harshvardhan came to Mockery, that is in the UP, and defeated the king of Malwa and the Gaura kings as well, right? And then territory of the Pushyabhutis expanded to the Bengal itself, right? Are you getting me? So extended up to Bengal, that is Gaura. And in this battle, Kamrup king, there was a king Bhaskaravarman also assisted Harshvardhana. So this is the story now. So now we can understand. Now Pushyabhuti, in the process of territorial expansion, Pushyabhuti yani ki Harsha fought a battle with Chalukyan king Pulkesin II, right? In this Harsha versus Pulkesin II. Pulkesin II. And this battle was, sirs and ma'ams, on the bank of river Narmada, In this battle, Pulkesin was emerged victorious and Harsha was defeated, right? Now another thing. So, and this is the battle. Now second one is, sirs and ma'ams, what is that, sirs and ma'ams? Is that now Chalukyan king also defeated Mahendravarman. Now Pulkesin second. Pulkesin second defeated versus Mahendravarman. Mahendravarman. In this battle, Mahendravarman was defeated and Pulkesin emerged victorious. Right. The third battle took place. That was between Pulkesin second versus Narsivarman, son of Mahendravarman. Narsivarman. In this battle, Narsivarman emerged victorious and Pulkesin was defeated. Right, so this is the story at this time. Are you getting me? So everything is happening during this period, 550 to 750 BC. There are too many states that was here. So Pushpabhutis was there, Chalukyas, Pallavas and all, right, sirs and ma'ams. So Pulkesin was defeated and Narsivarman was there, right? Are you getting me? So this is the smallest story in this period, right? Now, what will happen? Pulkesin, with the decline of the Pulkesin, now just try to understand, there are too many smaller states. So with the decline of this Chalukyas, this will give way to the Rashtrakutas. And after the decline of these Pallavas, it will give way to the emergence of Imperial Cholas or Medieval Cholas. Imperial Cholas, right? And after the political vacuum in the northern India, two important powers will emerge. After Gaura king Sashanka, he was defeated by the Harshvardhana. Now, Gaura was in the territory of Harsha, that was under the Pushpabhutis. With the decline of Harsha, there will be another dynasty that will come up here, that is called the Palas, right? So after Gaur, what will happen, sirs and ma'ams? The dynasty that will come, that will emerge, is your after Gaur, here will be Palas. The Pala dynasty will come into the being, which was established by Gopal, right, sirs and ma'ams? So Pala dynasty will come. I take you, Pala dynasty, right? And after Palas, here Senas will come, right? Sena dynasty will come, right? So this is the story of Bengal. Gaura dynasty, then the Pala dynasty, then this is the Sena dynasty. And what will happen with the decline of Harsha, this region, which is this region, sirs and ma'ams, this is the region, and this region is, this is the region of Gujarat and Rajasthan. Okay, this region will give birth to Pratiharas, right, sirs and ma'ams? So this will be the region of Pratiharas now. Are you getting me? So that will be the region of Pratiharas. Gurjar Pratiharas. So now you understood what is the story behind it. The Post-Gupta period is characterized by the feudalism that is led to the emergence of smaller feudal states that gave this much of the dynasty here. Now you could understand what happened with the Harsha and what happened between Harsha and the Pulkesin second, what happened between the Pulkesin second and the Mahendravarman and the Narsivarman, and then ultimately Chalukyas declined and Rashtrakuta came to the being. And with the decline of the Pallavas, Imperial Cholas came to the being. And with the decline of the Harshas, two important dynasties emerged in North India. In Eastern India, this was the Pala, and in Western India, this was the Pratiharas. Right? Are you getting my points? Now, Imperial Cholas, I'm just going to discuss it. That is the part of, in fact, 9th to 13th century. I'm just giving you some idea, just you may recall it. Imperial Cholas. So this was the time period of 9th to 13th century, right? This was a time period. There was two important kings. Although it was established by Vijayalaya was the feudal lords of Pallavas. Then is Raja first, and then there is his son Rajendra Chola, Rajendra Chola, right? Rajendra Chola. So they are three important kings. He is the founder king, right, sirs and ma'ams? He was the founder. Then Rajaraja first established Brihadeshwara temple, that is considered as the climax of Dravidian architecture. And Rajendra was imperialist king who had made the Bay of Bengal his lake. And when Rajendra Chola was in the south, then the Turkish invasion took place. And this Turkish invasion was under whom? This was under Muhammad Ghori, right, sirs and ma'ams? So it was Muhammad Ghori. So Turks were there. Turks invaded North India, and this was the time of Mahmud, not Ghori, I'm sorry, this was Mahmud Ghaznavi. So I just keep in your mind, right? So because there's too many things right over here. So this is the dynasty that's 550 to 750. I have given you a connection right now. Now I'm taking you to the other phase, that is phases of 750 to 550 to 750. Then I'm taking you to the other phase that is called 750 to 1000, right? 750 to 1000. Please wait for a while. So this board is actually hanging. There's too many, fact that is loaded over here. So that is the thing, sirs and ma'ams here. Just let me give you some story, right? Now, so I'm taking you a little bit up, right? Now see, sirs and ma'ams. So I was in the Post-Gupta period, right? So taking you from there only, so Post-Gupta period. I was in Post-Gupta period, right? Post-Gupta. That was the time period from 550 to 750, right? Now continued. From here I'm continued. Now you can easily understand the things. So continued, Post-Gupta period, right, sirs and ma'ams? Now again, there should be a time scale. Right, sirs and ma'ams? See here, now the phases after Post-Gupta, that is called the age of tripartite struggle. Age of tripartite struggle. And this age of tripartite struggle, what is the time period of this? That is somewhere around 750, you may write 1000, roughly you can take it to AD, right? There are three important powers of India that keep on fighting among themselves. Right? So three powers. You know that, those powers. One is Palas. Then there is Pratiharas. There's Gurjar Pratiharas. And then there is, sirs and ma'ams, that is called Rashtrakutas, right? Now, there was a heart, sirs and ma'am. There was a heart. And this for the heart, this heart represents Kannauj. This heart was of Kannauj. For the sake of this heart, the three important powers, this is called, sirs and ma'am, this is called the Palas. This is Pratiharas, Gurjar Pratihara or Pratiharas, and this is called the Rashtrakutas. Rashtrakutas. Right, sirs and ma'ams? So all the three powers, Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas and the Palas, they tried to capture this Kannauj, right? Because the seat of the power shifted from Magad to, that is Patliputra, to Kannauj now towards the east-western part. That is the Kannauj. And from 600 almost to the Kannauj, the significance of Kannauj will be from 600 to 1280 till the time of the Rajputs. It will continue. The importance of Kannauj will continue, right? So for the sake of this Kannauj, the Rashtrakutas, Pratiharas and the Palas kept on fighting for almost 2 decades, more than 2 decades, right? So just because of that, the power energy of all these resources, energy and resources rather, it's better to write energy and resources exhausted, energy and resources exhausted, right, sirs and ma'ams? Exhausted. Energy and resources exhausted, right? Energy and resources exhausted. So now, just try to understand it. So, Pratiharas and Palas, Rashtrakutas, they continued for almost more than 200 years. So, they exhausted their energy in the resources, right? Now, one more important thing is that this is the time period when someone is trying to come inside India, ठीक है ना? And who were they? So, who were they, sirs and ma'ams? Right? So now, Arabs trying to get inside. Arabs. So Arabs is there. Arabs, right, sirs and ma'ams? Arabs. They're continuously trying to get inside, right? So Arab wanted to come inside, right? So in 712 AD, right? The Muhammad bin Qasim, right? Defeated the king of Dahir, the king of Sindh. Dahir, king of Sindh. Defeated. King of Sindh was defeated, right? But just because of the strong presence of these Pratiharas, okay, right? So they successfully retaliated these Arabs. So they were as someone like the doorkeepers, Pratiharas, right? So successfully retaliated Arabs. So Arabs could not enter into the mainland of India just because of the strong presence of the Pratiharas. But what happened? With the end of this tripartite struggle, they all, Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas and the Cholas and the Palas, they lost their power. Right? So Rashtrakutas will give way to again the re-emergence of Chalukyas. And with the decline of this Pratiharas, what will happen? Rajput dynasties will come into the being. So with the decline of this Pratiharas, what will happen, sirs and ma'ams? What will happen? With the decline of this Pratiharas, Rajput states will come into the being. So I'm writing Rajput states will come into the being. Rajputs. And now, on the other hand, the geopolitical condition of Western India, Northwest India also changed. Now the power was shifted into the hands of the Turks. Now, so just try to understand. This is the next phase. The next phase is, sirs and ma'ams, this next phase is age of conflict. This is your age of conflict. And this period is from 1000 to 1280, right? What happens in this period? In the age of conflict, what will happen? Rajput states will emerge in India. So there will be Rajput states, There will be Rajput states, Rajput dynasties. Dynasties will be there. Dynasties will be there. Like what? Like what? So Rajput states. So what will be the Rajput states, sirs and ma'ams? Like Chauhans, Chandelas, Parmars, Tomars, Gadwals. So they were the Rajput states, right? On the other hand, now after the decline of the Pratiharas and Arabs were replaced by the Turks, so now Turks will try to come into India. Turks will try to come into India, right? And this will continue what, sirs and ma'ams? That will be the constant warfare. There will be constant warfare, sirs and ma'ams. There will be constant warfares. There are constant warfares. There will be constant warfares between the Turks and the Rajputs. There will be constant warfare between the Rajputs and the Turks. And there are two Rajputs in the Turks. In the Turks, there are two Turks. One will be Mahmud Ghaznavi. Mahmud Ghaznavi. And the other one will be Muhammad Ghori. Muhammad Ghori. Muhammad Ghori. Right? Muhammad Ghori. Now, Mahmud Ghaznavi had certain plan for India. His objective in India was was to plunder India. Plunder India. His objective was to create empire in India. To create empire in India. Empire in India. In India, right? In fact, this Muhammad Ghaznavi started his expeditions from 1000 say to 1027, right? And during this period, he did something. Hindu Shahi dynasty completely ruined, plundered Somnath temple. Somnath temple. When Bhima was there, Somnath temple, right? So this was the time period. And Muhammad Ghori was to create an empire. So when Muhammad Ghori was here, he used to keep his military commanders here, like Qutbuddin Aibak, like Bakhtiyar Khilji, Yaldauz, Kubacha, and all, right? So this is the Turks, the Muhammad Ghori and the Muhammad Ghori. They were continuously coming into India in different time period, and they were the Rajput states. So Rajput states was characterized by Chauhans, Chandelas, everyone, T.K. Garhwals and all. And in this age of conflict, two important battles took place. Important battle took place during this period. And this is your, I'm going to write in this conflict, age of conflict, within this conflict. One was two battles of Tarain, Battle of Tarain. This is a two battle. One that was in 1191, and then there was two Battle of Tarain. Second, that was in 1192. This battle was between Muhammad Ghori and Prithviraj Chauhan. Prithviraj, third, or Prithviraj Chauhan, you may write, right? In the first battle, Muhammad Ghori was defeated. In the second battle, Prithviraj Chauhan was defeated, or Prithviraj III was defeated. In the first, won first battle, he won second battle of Tarain. And this second battle was one of the decisive battles fought in India because it gave way to the Turks or Turkish establishment in India. Then another important battle that took place during this period, during the age of the conflict, that was the Battle of Chandavar. That was the Battle of Chandavar. Then this was the one thing that took place, sirs and ma'ams, and the other is your Battle of Chandavar. There is two battle. This is the one. This is the two. Battle of Chandavar. Battle of Chandavar. Chandavar. That was in year 194, right? 1194. In this battle, Muhammad Ghori defeated Garhwal King Jayachand. Garhwal King Jayachand. Right? Jayachand. And finally in 1206, after the age of the conflict ended, what will happen, sirs and ma'ams? So now you can, age of the conflict that ended, and this led to the establishment of Delhi Sultanate in 1206 AD, right? So I'm going to write it for you, sirs and ma'ams. So I'm being continued here now. So continued from age of conflict. There was the age of conflict. Age of conflict was there, and being continued from here only. Continued here, right, sirs and ma'ams? So again, sir and ma'am, I'm going to draw a line for me. Establishment of Delhi Sultanate, right? Delhi Sultanate established. So now the phase of Delhi Sultanate established. Sultanate established. And the time period of this Delhi Sultanate is from 1206 to 1526, right? Within this Delhi Sultanate, one after the other, in succession, came the different dynasties. The first dynasty was Slave Dynasty. This was the time period of this dynasty is 1206 to 1290. Then comes the second dynasty, that is your Khilji dynasty. That is 1290 to 1320. Then comes the Tughlaq dynasty. Tughlaq dynasty. And this dynasty is from 1320 to 1414. And after this comes the Sayyid dynasty. That is from 1414 to 1451, right? 1451. And finally, the Lodhi dynasty. That was from, or I'm sorry, this should be like this now. That is Lodhi dynasty. And this time period of this dynasty is from 1451 to 1526. This is the time period, right, sirs and ma'ams? Just try to understand now Lodhi dynasty. This is the first Afghan dynasty in Delhi. First Afghan dynasty in Delhi. Right? What about the Sayyids? What is important about the Sayyids? Sayyids were they are called Kulah Daran. Why they are called Kulah Daran? Because they used to wear used to wear pointed caps, that is called Sulkuladaran. These Sayyids were the descendants of Prophet Muhammad's daughter Fatima. So descendants of Prophet Muhammad, you may write Prophet Muhammad, right? Descendants of this one. So this is the second point, sirs and ma'ams. Let me demarcate it so you can right. So this is the story. So Kuladaran now. Coming to the Tughlaqs. It is the longest lived dynasty. This is the longest lived dynasty of Delhi Sultanate. Longest lived dynasty of Delhi Sultanate. Dynasty that continued for almost 94 years, right? Longest lived dynasty. I'm coming to this. This is the shortest lived dynasty, Khilji dynasty. Shortest lived dynasty. During this period, religion was separated from state. Religion was separated. How it was separated from state? Let me tell you. Separated from state. How it was separated? Actually, Alauddin Khilji says, the most famous king of this dynasty is Alauddin Khilji. Alauddin Khilji says that, I don't know whether it is right or the wrong. I do what is in the larger interest of the people. So he was just ignoring, he is just sidelining the ulemas. Then there is a Mubarak Shah Khilji. He declared himself that I am the caliph. Declaring himself as a caliph, it means that he is taking the spiritual power of Islam or the religious power of Islam in his own hand. Because caliph used to be the religious head as well as the political head. And the Islamic states or the sultans of the Islamic state had to take investiture or recognition from the caliphs. But they denied, the Khiljis denied, they had not taken the khillats or the remuneration or the investiture from the caliphs. And they declared themselves that they are the Khalifa. Alauddin Khilji sidelined the Muslim scholars, ulemas and all, right? So it was the period when religion was separate from the state, right? Slave dynasty. Within the slave dynasty, the important kings were Qutbuddin Aibak. Then there was Iltutmish. Iltutmish is considered as the first legal sultan of Delhi Sultanate because he was the first sultan of Delhi Sultanate who had taken the recognition from the caliph. Without taking the recognition from the caliph, your legitimacy will not be established over your state. And Qutbuddin Aibak had not taken any manumission, any recognition from the caliph. That's why Qutbuddin Aibak is not considered as the legal heir or legal sultan of the Delhi Sultanate, rather Iltutmish, right? So this is the one thing, Iltutmish. Then there was a Rajia Sultan. Rajia Sultan was the first Muslim ruler of India. Then comes the Balban. Balban established the theory of kingship. How he had established the theory of kingship? By decorating the office of Sultan, right? Theory of kingship. He pursued the policy of blood and iron policy to suppress Mewatis, right? So he established the theory of kingship, Rajia Sultan, Iltutmish and Aibak. Then the Khiljis, shortest lived dynasty, religion separated from the state. Longest lived dynasty, that is called, what is called Tughlaqs now. Coming to the Tughlaqs, Sayyid dynasty, they were the descendants of the Prophet Muhammad Sahib. Then they used to wear a pigged cap, that's why they are known as Kuladaran, right? And this Lodhis, this is the first Afghan dynasty in Delhi, right? Now let me talk something else, right, sirs and ma'ams? So there is a paradoxical situation, sirs and ma'ams, and what is that paradox? What is this paradox? Let me make you clear. It is a time period of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Muhammad bin Tughlaq, right? It is a time period of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, right, sirs and ma'ams? Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Just try and understand. So this is the peak of this is the peak of Delhi Sultanate. Peak of Delhi Sultanate. This is the time of Muhammad bin Tughlaq itself. So during the time of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Delhi Sultanate attained its peak, but unfortunately, Delhi Sultanate started declining during his period itself. And during the time of Muhammad bin Tughlaq itself, two dynasties, two important dynasties, there are other dynasties as well, became free. One was Vijayanagar Empire, and Bahmani state, Bahmani Sultanate. Bahmani Sultanate was established. In 1336, Vijayanagar was established by two brothers, Harihar and Bukka. Harihar and Bukka established Vijayanagar Empire during the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and Bahmani Empire in 1347 by Alauddin Bahman Shah or Hassan Gangu. You may write, his original name was Hassan Gangu, but he has taken the title of Alauddin Bahman Shah and then started the Bahmani Empire, right? So this is the Vijayanagar and Bahmani, right? So during this time, Delhi Sultanate started declining. Some states claimed their independence. Vijayanagar and the Bahmani came into the being, right? So after Tughlaq, there was the Sayyid dynasty and the Lodi dynasty. They were contracting, right? Now, during the time of Tughlaq itself, right? Tughlaq itself, there was one more thing that happened, sirs and ma'ams. In 1398, there was an invasion of Tamur Lung. Tamur Lung attacked on India. Tamur Lung. So that also took place during the time of this period itself. Now, coming to the Vijayanagar and Bahmani, then I'll talk about the Mughals, right, sirs and ma'ams? So let me take you to the other story. Let me take you to the other story now, right? Vijayanagar Empire, right? What happened in the Vijayanagar? So I'm being continued from there itself, right? Vijayanagar itself, right? So Vijayanagar, there is a Vijayanagar Empire I'm talking about. Vijayanagar Empire. Vijayanagar Empire, right? Vijayanagar. And there was a parallel development that is called the Bahmanis. Bahmani Sultanate. That came into being in 1347. And this came into the being in 1336. Right, sirs and ma'ams? This is the time period. Bahmani Empire, right? There are four dynasties that is ruling here. This is the first dynasty, the fourth dynasty that ruled here. Four dynasties. That ruled here. Sirs and ma'ams. This was your Sangam dynasty. Then there was Saluva dynasty. Then there was Tuluva dynasty. And finally there was Arivadu dynasty. Right, sirs and ma'ams? So four dynasty, so Sangam dynasty, and this is this one. So you may write this dynasty 1336 to 1485. You may write here. So this is the time period of this dynasty. Now 1485 to somewhere around that is called 1505. 1485 to 1505. This is the time period of this dynasty, right? And this is from 1505 to 1570. You may write 1570, and this is from 1570 to somewhere around 1664. I should write of 46, 1646. You should write it. So you should write it, right, sirs and ma'ams? This is the time period, right? The Sangam dynasty, Suluva dynasty, and this is the Tuluva dynasty, right, sirs and ma'ams? So this is the broad time period of these dynasties, right? So Sangam dynasty. There was a king in this dynasty whose name is Devraya. Why Devraya is important? He introduced Muslim or Turkish Muslims in Vijayanagar army. He introduced Vijayanagar army, right? Vijayanagar army, right? The most important king of this dynasty, Tuluva dynasty, is Krishnadev Raya. This Krishnadev Raya, right? See, what is the significance of this Suluva dynasty? In 1498, then this was the time, then I'm giving you another thing, that is another development, that is 1498. Europeans, that is called the Portuguese, came to India. Portuguese came to India. When Suluva dynasty ka rule tha, there was a rule of the Suluva dynasty, and the king was, Suluva was Imadi Narasimha. So Imadi Narasimha was the Suluva king, right? During when the Suluva king Imadi Narasimha was in his reign, Europeans were coming into India, right? Sangam dynasty, Tuluva dynasty, Krishnadev Raya. Krishnadev Raya had a very good relations with Portuguese, gave Bhatkal fort to Portuguese, right? Krishnadev Raya. His court, he was also a cultured person. His court was adorned with Ashtadhiggas, the Telugu scholars, Ashtadhiggas. There were 8 Telugu scholars in his court. Tenali Rama was one among them, right? And during the time of, Tuluva dynasty, an important battle was fought, that is called Battle of Talikota, and that is called Talikota or Banihatti or Rakshas Tangdi. In this battle, the glory of the Vijayanagar Empire was lost, although it continued for next 100 years. I will let you know how this battle took place. Tuluva dynasty. After the death of Krishnadev Raya, his sons were minor. Finally, one of his sons came to the power. He was also minor. That is called Sadasiv Raya. Sadasiv Raya came to the being, and his regent was Ram Raya, who was the brother-in-law of Sadasiv Raya. So actually the power was in the hands of Ram Raya, and Sadasiv Raya was the de jure king, right? He was just the puppet king in the hands of Ram Raya, right? So just try to understand it. Now what will happen here? Bahmani Empire will establish, right? Just try to understand. But later on, this dynasty declined. Okay, this dynasty declined. That declined. Okay, disintegrated just because of internal conflicts. Because of internal conflicts, and it gave birth to some Dakni states like Ahmednagar. Then there is Golconda, there was Bijapur, there was Barar, and this is your Bidar. Are you getting me, sirs and ma'ams? Bijapur had a dynasty that was ruling here, that is called Adil Shahi. Adil Shahi dynasty was ruling from here. When we talk about the Barar, there was the Imad Shahi dynasty. Imad Shahi dynasty. And here was Barid Shahi dynasty. Barid Shahi dynasty, right? When if I talk about the Golconda, there was Qutub Shahi. Qutub Shahi dynasty, right? Qutub Shahi dynasty. If I talk about the Ahmednagar, this was the Nizam Shahi dynasty. So this was the Nizam Shahi dynasty. Nizam Shahi dynasty. Nizam Shahi dynasty. So these are the dynasties. So you may get a question in your examination. Okay, which dynasty was in the which state? So with the decline of the Bahmani state, Bahmani Sultanate, it was disintegrated into Ahmednagar under the Nizam Shahis, Golconda under the Qutub Shahis, Bijapur under the Adil Shahis, Barar into the Imad Shahis, and Bidar into the Barid Shahis. And Vijayanagar and Bahmani were at the constant fight, right? On the other hand, so they were on constant fight, right? There was a constant rivalry. There was a constant rivalry between both the two. Rivalry between the Vijayanagar and Bahmani. And just because of this rivalry, Battle of Talikota in 1565, Battle of Talikota took place. Battle of Talikota took place. In this battle, 4 states, Ahmednagar, Golconda, Bijapur, and Bidar, make an alliance against whom? That was against the Vijayanagar. When the king was Sadasiv Raya, and de jure king was Sadasiv Raya, and de facto was Ram Raya, right? In this alliance, Barar was not a part. In fact, you may keep in your mind, you need to keep in your mind when you are appearing in the examination, Barar was not Bekarar to fight with Vijayanagar. So Barar was not the party of the alliance against Vijayanagar in this battle of Talikota, right? In this battle, Vijayanagar was defeated. Vijayanagar versus Bahmani states, or you simply write Dakhni states. Dakhni states. Vijayanagar was defeated. Vijayanagar defeated. Okay. Dakhni states alliance developed, but Barar was not there. Right, sirs and ma'ams? So this is how during the time of Tulwa dynasty itself, Vijayanagar Empire loses glory, but it will continue for the next 100 years under the Arivadu dynasty, right? This is the important thing, right? Now coming to the other part. Sirs and ma'ams. When Battle of Talikota was being fought, मैं ये भी आपको लिख दूं, when the Battle of Talikota was being fought, when the Battle of Talikota was going on in South India, right, in South India, 1565, there was the Mughals in power. Mughals were in power. This was the Mughals in power. And at this time, there was Akbar. And the reign of Akbar was 1500, that is called 1556 in fact, 1556 to 1605. So when the Battle of Talikota was being fought, Akbar was the Mughal emperor, right, sirs and ma'ams? So it should be in your mind. 11:30 हाँ तो रुक जाओ 1 मिनट 10 मिनट 10 right. So right, sirs and ma'ams. Okay, I'm taking you to another slide, right? Just wait for a while. This is hang now. I'm taking you to another slide. Now, sir, coming to the Mughals now. So after Delhi Sultanate, so continuing from Delhi Sultanate itself, Delhi Sultanate, continued, right? In fact, in 1526, First Battle of Panipat took place. Battle of Panipat 1 took place in 1526, and that was between Babur and Lodi. Babur and Ibrahim Lodi, right? Ibrahim Lodi, right, sirs and ma'ams? So when I was here, Ibrahim Lodi. In this battle, Babur was the victor. And Ibrahim Lodi was the loser. So Babur established the Mughal Empire, right? Mughal Empire. When I come into the Mughal Empire, you can see here I'm going to draw a map that is called timeline. This is a Babur, right, sirs and ma'ams? There is the Babur. His reign was from 1526 to 1530. After Babur, this was the time period of Humayun, and this time period was from 1530 to 1540, and then 1555 to 1556. I'll let you know what happened in this period. Then 1560, then comes the Akbar. His time was from 1556 to 1605. And after Akbar, there is a time period of Jahangir. That is from 1605 to 1627, right? And after Jahangir, this was the time period of Shah Jahan. And his time period is from 1628 to if I talk about 1658, right? And then is your Aurangzeb, finally. Aurangzeb, that is 1658 to 1707, right? This was the time period. Now, what is important? He is the founder of this dynasty. Humayun was tumbling throughout his life and tumbled out of his life. He did nothing. But what happened from this period? He is the first phase. This is the second phase. In between, there was a Sur dynasty. That ruled over. That is the second Afghan dynasty. Second Afghan dynasty in Delhi. And the time period of this is 1540 to 1555. Founded by Sher Shah Suri, 1540 to 45. And the last is Adil Shah Sur, that is from 1555 to 1506, right? This is the time period, right, sirs and ma'ams? Right, 1555. You may write 1555. This is the time period of this one. So this was the dynasty. If I talk about the Akbar is known for his religious policies, his Rajput policies, and other things. Jahangir this is the time period of climax of the painting, climax of Mughal painting. Mughal painting, Mughal painting, right? So this was a thing now. If I consider the period of Shahjahan, this is the time period, climax of architecture, right? Architecture, right? And the second important thing, what happened, Shah Jahan won the Dakhni states, Ahmednagar, and Aurangzeb won the Dakhni states, that is called Bijapur and Golconda. He was too much busy in the Dakhni states, and finally in 1707 he died in Deccan itself, right? And after 1707, the time period of the later Mughals start, and from there what happens there, the modern Indian history begins, right? I believe this must be a very insightful session for all of you, and I believe this will work for you in any examination, because I have given you a broad timeline for the entire ancient Indian history, starting with the Stone Age till the end of the Aurangzeb, that is in 1707. So it is going to be very beneficial sessions for you. So from my side, wish you all the best for all the examination, for any kind of your examination, whether it is civil service examination or any other examination that you are appearing for. So my best wishes are with you. See you soon with some other burning topics or issues or some other sensational sessions. Till then, bye bye, take care, thank you very much, God bless you.